The section AB is straight line inclined at an angle of 30 degrees to this one. AB is inclined plane, where BC is the horizontal, and then the last section is CD, which is again an inclined plane, inclined at an angle of 30 degrees. The section AB, the section CD is the straight line, this one, and section AB, that is called the smooth. Smooth means there is no friction over here. And the section BC is called the rough. And the section CD is also called the rough. And the second one is that when the plane is rough, definitely you have the coefficient of friction. In this case, the coefficient of friction is mu, and in this case, the coefficient of friction is mu. A particle is released from rest at point A. The coefficient of friction between the uh, both BC and CD is mu, and there is no change in the speed of the particle when it passes through the either point of B or C. So the point B, at this point, the velocity will remain same. Means when the particle moves from A to B and then B to C, from these 2 points, there is no change. Similarly, when point will move from C to D, at this point, there will be no change. Now I will solve this question step by step. The particle is dropped from at point A, drop or release from rest. This means initial velocity will be zero. So over here, I will denote the velocity with VA. Over here, I will denote the velocity with P times B. Over here, the velocity is VC. And over here, the velocity is VD if there exist. First of all, I divide this whole motion into three components. First, I will discuss from motion A to B. Then I will discuss from B to C, and then I will discuss from C to D. The first one is, here is the particle speed. Whenever you have to discuss the motion of the body, first of all, either the acceleration will be given or you have to calculate the acceleration. So first from A to B, the distance is 2 meters given. From B to C, the distance is 2 centimeter, 2 meters is given. And from C to D, the distance is 2 meters given. So first of all, I have to write, I have to draw the diagram. And what's the diagram? What are the forces? So we can find the acceleration of the body from A to B. Okay. Suppose the body is just like this one. Draw the force diagram. The particle is here, just like this one. And I have to draw the force diagram over here. What are the force diagram? You have to discuss what is the acceleration and other forces are. Okay. The first one is I have to solve this one. Forces on this particle A, in which direction we have two forces. First one is when the particle is contact with the other force, then there will be the normal contact force. I will draw the normal contact force with that diagram. So that is the normal contact force. When a body has the mass, then definitely there will be the weight in downward directions. Another thing is that when we have the forces, we have the component of the forces in two directions. First is the upward direction, that is called vertical component, and this is called horizontal along the line. So the line is this one, the angle of the plane will be angle up over here. So that will be 30 degrees. Now you have to draw the components from the component of the weight. There are two components. The first one is, I will make with different colors. Suppose that the first one is with the black color. So over here, this first component, that component of the weight is along the horizontal. If the mass of the weight is not given, you have to consider mass m, and its weight will be equal to the m times. So the weight is mg. So what are the components? This component is mg cos of 30 degree. And this component will be mg sine of 30 degree. The particle is dropped, there is no external force. The particle is moving along the surface of inclined plane and moving due to its weight. So how many forces are applying over here? First of all, because this surface is smooth, there will be no friction. So first from we have to discuss from A to B. Now I will discuss each and everything from A to B. I will discuss the acceleration. There is no no force externally applied over here. So that force will be zero. This one. This means the driving force will be zero. So that is the zero Newton. So the particle is moving under this second force. So net force is equal to ma, according Newton's second law. So you will write over here. The first equation is to find the acceleration mg sine of 30 degree. That is called this force. No opposing force is equal to ma, the mass of the body, and a is the acceleration of the body. M and cancel with this m. M will be cancelled this one and this one. The value of g is 10 and sine of theta. I will use the calculator, and what will be the calculator will be sine of 30 degree. So what is the sine of 30 degree? That is sine over this one 30 degree. So I will get that is 1 by 2. 1 by 2 multiplied by 10. So the value of the value of A becomes A is equal to the 10 times 1 by 2. That becomes 5 meter per second square. So from A to B, I am discussing over here. So distance is in this case from A to B, the distance is, we know that is 2 meter. Initial velocity. Initial velocity means 0 meter per second because it is dropped from the point A, and the distance between A and B is 2 meter. Initial velocity and the acceleration is given. We have to find the velocity at point B. What should be its velocity? So which equation I have to use from A to B? So equation will be 2AS. Equation will be 2AS is equal to the square minus u square. Put the values of 2 as well, put the value of A as well as S is equal to the V square minus Q square. So you have to write 2 as it is. The value of A, we calculate this one, that is 5. The distance is, that is 2 meter. V square you have to calculate minus U square, that becomes 0. So in this case, the answer of V square becomes V at point B. V square becomes 20. If I'm not wrong, that is 20. And what's the answer of VB? That will becomes 20 centimeter square root. That is the first part of the question. Now the second one is, I will discuss the motion from B to C. So from B to C, what we have the information, I will use the black marker over here. So from B to C. B to C, the surface is a rough, and when the surface is rough, opposing force will be applied over here. So I have this one. Over here, the particle will be just like this one. I will make it a circular portion over here. And I have to discuss what are the forces. So the first force is, there is no driving force because the particle is moving by itself. That is the weight. Why weight? That is the normal reaction. This is the weight when the body is, and there is opposing force. That opposing force is, we know that the force of friction. That is friction over here. So there are four forces are applying over here. Now I have to write these forces step by step. The first force is this one. The first force is the mg because the mass is not given. So you have to suppose the mass and multiply by g, it becomes its weight. Mg always downward. That's the value of R. There is no forward force. That forward force is zero, and backward force is friction. And then when the body is moving, so its friction will be limiting friction and denoted by nu times R. So I have to make the equation to find the acceleration. Forward force is 0 minus mu. Mu is equal to the zero point 0.1. R. R is equal to the m times g is equal to mass of the body and acceleration of the body. So from B to C, if I'm not wrong, from B to C, I will write this one as cancellation by this one. M is cancelled by this one. So the value of A will be, by using the calculator, A will be minus 1 meter per second square. Now, initial from B to C, initial velocity is already we have, that is under root 20 meter per second, because the velocity at the point B from A to B the final velocity, and over here that is the initial velocity. Final velocity, we have no information, that is point C, that is the unknown. Then we have the distance is always 2 meter, and acceleration is, that is minus 1 meter per second square. So you have to use this information. Again, the same formula you have to apply to AS is equal to V square minus U square. Just replace the values. I will use the, suppose, this green, not black, blue marker. So 2 as it is, multiply by A means minus 1 and S means 2 is equal to the V square, that velocity at point C square, minus U square, that is velocity is at the point this one, that is 20. So when you calculate, if I'm not wrong, so that will becomes minus 4 plus 20. So VC square becomes 16. You have to note it down these values. Now I have to discuss the last part of the motion from C to D. From C to D, first I will find what the forces are acting over here, and then first we'll find the values. Just I'm erasing the things over here. A to B, remember that the velocity is under root 20. From B to C, the velocity is 16 square root. It becomes 4. And now I will discuss the velocity from C to D. So these two things are very important. These last two things. Now I have to find, but the motion discussed I will from C to D. So just I will make the diagram. What should be the diagram? Over here, the first one is, the diagram is the body is posed at this point. That is the body is the point. I will discuss the forces on that body. But first of all, when a body is contact with the other surface, definitely the normal contact force will exist. If a body having the mass, its weight will also exist. Body is moving upward direction, and when moving upward direction, there is no driving force, but there will be the friction, because that's I have to make the components of its weight. Components of weight are with the red marker. So these are the two components. No, I have to write this up. There is no forward force, that is 0 meter in the forward force, because the external force is applied. That is called the normal reaction. That 30° becomes the 30° of this one. That times mu times R. So when I make the components, the weight of this body is mg. Why mg? Because no mass is given. When the mass of the body is not given, then we have to use this one. So mg cos of theta, that means cos of 30°, that's the horizontal component, and mg sine of theta, that is equal to the 30°. So first of all, you have this one, the value of r. R means a normal component. So the first one is R is equal to the mg cos of 30°, m times g cos of 30°. Very good. Now I have to find the acceleration of the body. Body is moving with the acceleration A. Now I'm discussing the motion from C to D. What will you do? So over here you have the 0 forward force. minus backward force. There are two backward forces, mu times r and minus mg sine of 30 degree is equal to the mass of the body is A and acceleration of the body is also A. Now I have to put the values of value of mu as well as the value of r. What's the value of r? Already given, minus as it is, 0.1 as it is. R means mg cos of 30 degree and minus mg sine of 30 degree is equal to the m times A. Now you have to cut the values which are having the same. This m is cut by this one, and this one. Now I have to find the value of uh, A. So minus 0.1 into G means 10 into cos 30. We have to find the value of the cos 30. Minus G means 10. Sine of 30 means 1 by 2. That will be to the value of A. Now use the calculator. What should be the answer of these terms? When I will use the calculator, what's the answer of the cos of 30 degree? The cos of 30 degree will be equal to the root 3 by 2. So I have to put the root 3 by 2. So that becomes 1. I use the calculator. So I will get minus root 3 by 2. And this becomes minus 5. That's the value of A. Am I right? Now that value of A you have to use to find the motion from C to B. That point where the velocity is 1 meter per second. Okay, now I'm erase this one. Already we have the acceleration. What's the value of this one? Suppose this point is C, this point is suppose another point E. So I have to discuss motion from C to E. So I have to discuss motion from C to point E. C to E velocity is initial velocity is given, that is equal to the under root 16 or 4 meter per second. Final velocity is given according to the question that is given. C to D is that is 1 meter per second. Distance from C to D is already given, that is equal to the 2 meter. And the value of A, I calculate this one is minus root 3 by 2 minus 5. Now I have to use the calculator and find what's the value of distance. Distance means we have to calculate, and distance is not over here, so you have to calculate this distance. Distance is unknown because the total distance from C to D is that is given 2 meter, but where its velocity is 1 meter per second, that is unknown. So that distance is unknown. You have to use the equation. Which equation? Which involves the U, V, S, and A. Again, the same equation is 2AS is equal to the V square minus U square. So what's the answer of 2 means, as it is the value of A is minus, sorry, root 3 by 2 minus 5. The value of S is unknown. Suppose that value is equal to the D. V square is 1 meter square because at this point its velocity is 1 meter per second. And minus U square is already 16. Now you have to use your calculator and find what's the answer of this one. So D is equal to the 1 minus 15 becomes minus 1 minus 16 becomes minus 15 divided by, so 2 times into minus root 3 by 2 and minus 5. Just use your calculator and find what's the answer is. I will make it clear. So I have to make the fraction. In this fraction is minus, I have 15. So in denominator, I have, what are the terms? In denominator, I have this 2. Then I have to the bracket. Bracket, I have to do the fraction. Fraction means minus root 3. Then I have to write 2 is equal to minus 5. I have to do minus 5 over here and over here. After calculation, if I'm not just please doing what's the answer of this thing, I will put the minus 3 over here. 1. I don't know if it's correct or this answer is wrong, but I got this answer 1.2784 meter. Is it clear, beta? Any doubt, any problem?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. I can you solve the second part of this question or should I solve this one?
Sir, could you please solve it?
Okay, don't worry. So I will try to solve this one, the second part. Then I will solve the second part. Second part of the question is that I will remember the question. Second part of the question is it is given instead that with the different value of the mu, the particle travels 1 meter up the track from the sea before it comes to instantaneous rest. To find the value of the mu and the speed of the particle at the instant that it passes to the point C for the second time. Okay. So remember that we have to find up to 1 meter heights. Now the scenario is this one. The whole discussion we have the same thing. I will discuss one. When particle reaches from rest A to B, then B to C, and then it will reach at this point. At this point, that's the statement of the question. But in this case, the reach at this point. So, and instantaneous rest means its velocity will be 0 meter per second. That is very information. The next one is that from A to B, because there is no friction, there will be no change. So the first one is from A to B. The same thing, there will be no change, but the surface, the second one and third one, that surface is not smooth, that is rough. From A to B, you have the same thing. What you have the same thing from A to B, velocity of at point A is equal to the 0 meter per second. Velocity, already I have calculated this one at point B is 20 under root meter per second in the first part. And then I have acceleration is 5 meter per second scale. That is from A to B, there will be no change. No, I have to discuss the second acceleration will be changed from B to C and then C to D. First of all, I will draw the figure over here, just like this one. I have to draw the figure over here. What should be the scenario? In this case, there is no the forward force. If there is no forward force, but we have to draw the arrow, that's the normal reaction. That surface is rough over here. That is its weight. So mass is not given, suppose that is a normal reaction. Mass is not given, mass is supposed to be m. So mg will be the weight in downward direction. That will be the 0 Newton force because no forward externally applied to the body, not string is attached, not push up, not pull up. So our reverse force will be mu times r. In the second part, r, the value of mu is not given. So we have 0 minus mu times R is equal to the MA. And in this case, you know that the value of R is given, that is mg. So minus mu times mg is equal to the MA. So after cancellation of this m, I will get the value of a will be times mu times g, and that is motion from B to C, from B to C. No initial velocity is given, that is 5 20 under root 20, because from A to B there is no change. So initial velocity will be that is equal to the at point B, and at point B its velocity is under root 20. So I'm discussing from B to C, the final velocity at point C, that is unknown. A is that is equal to mu times mg. And what's the value of the distance is always B to C distance is equal to the 2 meter. So velocity
सर,
is, yes, beta.
तो आपने जो फ्रॉम बी टू सी की एक्सेलरेशन लिखी हुई है वो नेगेटिव म्यू जी नहीं होगा?
नेगेटिव म्यू जी होगा, बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हो जी। आपके पास ये माइनस साइन मैंने छोड़ दिया, ये नेगेटिव आएगा। वेरी गुड बेटा। तो ए इज इक्वल टू माइनस म्यू टाइम्स जी आ जाएगा, और उसके बाद आपके पास डिस्टेंस आपके पास 2 मीटर आ जाएगा, और वेलोसिटी आपने कैलकुलेट करनी है। ए इज ऑलवेज माइनस म्यू टाइम्स टी। वेरी गुड बेटा। Now you have to use equation. That equation will be, I think, 2as is equal to the v square minus u square. So 2 as it is, mu times g, that will be the acceleration. A will be again 2. V square, the velocity at the point C is unknown, minus the velocity at point U. Initial velocity means at the point B, that is already given, that is 20. So after calculation of this one, I will get VC square becomes 20 minus 4 times mu times G. I can put the value of the G. The value of the G is 10. So it becomes 20 minus 40 times mu. So that's the velocity at point C. Now I have to discuss this scenario, the last scenario. What's the last scenario is just like this one. I have to discuss this last scenario. Distance is already given, that is the 1 meter. That distance is 1 meter. Initial velocity at point C is already, I have calculated 20 minus 40 mu. And that's the value of the V sphere. Now, what will you do? You have to find the acceleration from C to D. You have to find the acceleration from C to D. I will just make the diagram, and you have to observe what are the forces. The first force is a normal reaction. I will change the color. Suppose the color is this one, orange. That is its weight, downward direction. That's the normal components. That's the over here. So what are the things over here? That is 30 degree. That is also 30 degree. Weight, mass is not given, then its weight will be mg. That becomes mg sine of 30 degree, and that becomes mg cos of 30 degree. Now, first of all, I have to find the acceleration. In this case, that's the normal reaction. So the first one I will write over here from C to D. From C to D. So from C to D, what is the information? The first one, initial velocity is already given. That is equal to the u times 20 u square, not u square minus 40 times mu. Then the second one is, that's very important, S is given, that is 1 meter. What's the acceleration from C to D or during the C to D? There is no forward force. The body is moving upward. Only backward force is this one, and only the friction is over here. Remember that there are two forces applying because that surface is rough, and the surface is rough. So you have another force that is along this direction, and that will be mu times R. Okay, now first of all, I have to find the acceleration. So what should be the acceleration? No, I will use these two values over here. So first of all, from C to D acceleration, you have to calculate that will be the 0 minus mu times R minus mg sine of 30 degree. and that is equal to the m times a. What's the value of r in this case is mg cos of 30 degree. So minus will remain as it is, mu will remain as it is. R means mg cos of 30 degree minus mg sine of 30 degree, and that will be equal to the m times a. Again, these terms will be cancelled out. Which two terms will be cancelled out with the black marker? So these terms will be cancelled. M is over here, m is over here, m is over here. So the value of g becomes this term. So minus mu will remain as it is. G means 10, 10 times sine of 30. I will make it, I will short it, and this values, I will use the calculator. What should be the values of the calculator over here? So I need G means 10 sine of 30 degrees. First, I will erase all the things. So I will get 10 times, and the first one is, sorry, cos of 30 degree. I have the cos of 30 degree. What should be the answer of this one? 5 root 3, if I'm not wrong. 5 root 3. And the second answer is, that becomes 5 times 5 root 3 minus g sine of 30 degree. I know the value of the sine of 30, 1 by 2, g is 10. That becomes 5 is equal to the a. So that will be equal to the a. No, I have to put the values. I will get the values of the mu from here. Very simple, very easy. So value of u is over here. I will just make it short over here, over here. So I will erase this one so that I can write the things step by step. I will erase this one. Minus 20 minus 40. Now, beta, you have to use the calculator. So initial velocity is given, final velocity is given because the rest. So you have to use 2as is equal to the velocity, final velocity square minus initial velocity square. So 2 will remain as it is. A, the value of A is minus mu times 5 under root 3 minus 5. That value of A, S is given, that is 1 meter. Meter will not be written over here. And then we have the is equal to the V sphere. The final velocity is 0 square. And that is a minus 20 minus 40 U. Okay, now beta, you have to just simplify the terms and you will get the value of the mu. Please try to calculate. If you have any problem, then tell me, because the remaining time is 4 minutes. Okay, I will open this one. That becomes minus 10 root 3 times mu. Then minus 10 over here is equal to the minus into minus plus 20 plus 40 times mu. Please beta check if something is wrong. Please make it correct. I have this one, and shift the terms of the mu on one side and all the terms on the other side and find the value of mu. Okay, beta, is it clear? Can you find these values?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, beta, because the that is the free meeting of the Zooms. Okay, if you have any problem, just send me your WhatsApp. Any problem, I will solve it. Okay, beta.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Allah Hafiz.
Process.